English Shorthand Dictation number 143. Dictation speed is 160 words per minute. Ready? Start. Sir, I want to thank the Honorable Minister and congratulate him for rolling out the long overdue national education policy. Naturally, a lot has changed amongst the key domestic and global trends in the educational field. Our lack of an updated education policy framework that took those developments into account had been an obstacle in our goal of developing an affordable world-class education system for all Indians. I must say that I want to thank the Honorable Minister because I have had the pleasure of meeting him, discussing in great detail the ideas and the issues related to various aspects of the field of education. I was very pleased when the Minister responded very constructively, listened to these suggestions and has included many of them in his policy document. As I have said before and I will say again, my only regret is that this was not discussed sufficiently inside the Parliament. I would like to say that the development of our education infrastructure must remain a major priority for our country. I am confident that even if we have disagreements on specific details, we can constructively engage with each other in the common endeavor of developing a world-class education system for our country. On that spirit of constructive deliberation, I would like to share few concerns that I have with the allocation in the Union budget for the Ministry of Education, which threatens to stifle the rollout of a truly ambitious national education policy. At a time when the Ministry is seeking to roll out a serious and broad policy framework that would be the cornerstone of a sweeping change in our education system, it is indispensable that there be adequate budgetary allocations to facilitate the smooth implementation of policy. Honorable Minister, you will remember that we met soon after you had announced the policy and I had said that I only hope you will get the funding for this from the Finance Ministry. You assured me it had all been cleared in the Cabinet. Unfortunately, the reality today is that the budget has been characterized by a rather bizarre series of cuts to the overall budget of the Ministry of Education. Instead of having allocations commensurate with the soaring ambitions of the national education policy, we have a shocking but evident disconnect between the targets outlined in the national education policy and the financial support being offered by the Honorable Finance Minister. Any hope for positive developments in our primary and higher education system has been effectively handicapped by the budget allocations. The numbers suggest that education is not a priority for this government. Just last year, the Standing Committee on Human Resource Development had highlighted that the allocation for the Department of School Education was 28% less than what the Honorable Minister had asked for. I must say that the very definition of education in India must include digital literacy now if our children are to gain essential access to contemporary sources of knowledge. There is a need to digitalize classrooms through the introduction of a national computer curriculum in all languages that allows children in primary schools to achieve a basic understanding of how to operate a computer. What was a pen and paper to our generation is now a keyboard and a mouse, and the fact is that children have to learn them if they have to survive in today's world. This would require the government to allocate the necessary funds to ensure that computers are available and the teachers are trained. With the existing barriers and dividers of class, caste, gender, etc., it is likely that the current push towards online education will actually divide our society more unless we can find money for them. If we want to make it a tool for progress, we have to find the funding. It was really disappointing to note that there was no mention in the Honorable Finance Minister's speech of any attempt to address the challenges of online education, digital divide, no provisions to compensate for education lost during the pandemic, not even a roadmap for those who have been separated from the fold because of these barriers within our system. I am really hoping that the Honorable Minister for Education will address these issues when he replies to us today. I applaud the desire of the minister to develop world-class universities in India, and I support him in wanting to have campuses of eminent foreign universities here. But that should not be at the expense of funding your existing central universities. Their grants have declined by roughly rupees 1,000 crore when compared to the revised estimate of the previous year. Similarly, despite warning signs and the pandemic, the allocations for research and innovation have actually fallen from already paltry levels in the current financial year. That is a 25% cut, making us the only country to chart such a course of action on research after the events of last year. I appreciate the hard work that the minister has put in to reforming the education system. These underwhelming allocations actually let him down badly. His own government has let him down. The honorable minister should ensure that we discuss the national education policy in Parliament at some point, and the temple of democracy should not be reduced to a notice board or just a budget counting exercise. But I do want to say that since our higher education has been so process oriented and outcome deficient, we need to really make an effort to ensure that your ministry's requirements are properly funded. Honorable Chairman, Sir, children must be taught about the needs of the society, including various laws regarding their role in the development of society, by including syllabus in subjects at primary level only. All schools and colleges in the country must come under one roof, having the same course, same syllabus, same plan of buildings, designs and infrastructure, uniform school dress, and the students must be provided everything free up to 12th standard of education under government sector only. Government must promote collaboration between Indian higher education institutes and top international institutes, and also generate linkages between national research laboratories and research centers of top institutions for better quality and collaborative research to achieve good results. Steps may also be taken to engage with students regularly to help them overcome anxiety and stress to face examinations. Digital education is a welcome step, and involvement of radio and television may be made compulsory to enhance the education system, and responsibility must be fixed on them. The government is also helping the students financially to study abroad for the higher courses, and there must be a policy for a certain period for their stay abroad so that they can come to India and serve the nation, and we can utilize their knowledge and skill for the overall growth of our nation. We welcome the three-language formula, and mother tongue is essential at the primary level to grasp the subject thoroughly. Dropout students may be tracked. Setting up of academic bank is a welcome measure to avoid duplication. Research funding may be increased. All the primary schools in the country should have facilities of free food, free dress, and supply of books. Poor infrastructure is a big challenge to the higher education system, and particularly the institutes run by the public sector suffer from poor physical facilities and infrastructure. Faculty shortages and the inability of the state educational system to attract and retain well-qualified teachers have been posing challenges to quality education for many years. Most of the research scholars are without fellowships or not getting their fellowships on time, which directly or indirectly affects their research. There are insufficient resources and facilities as well as limited numbers of quality faculty to advise students. Moreover, Indian higher education institutes are poorly connected to research centers and to industries where the students' skills can be utilized. Management of Indian education faces challenges of over-centralization, bureaucratic structures, and lack of accountability, transparency, and professionalism. As a result of the increase in the number of affiliated colleges and students, the burden of administrative functions of universities has significantly increased, and the core focus on academics and research is diluted. I am not going to make any political speech because education is something which is very close to our heart. On education, we never want to have a political debate. I will not repeat the same points as raised by many honorable members who have spoken on this subject. My concern is whether this government has taken ample note of the present crisis. What is the present crisis? The present crisis is the digital divide in India. Nearly 70% of students in India are deprived of internet connectivity. Take the case of entire India during this COVID pandemic and take the case of my constituency where internet availability is very feeble. What is the fate of our students? The issue came up when the online classes started in different parts of the country. Most of the students were in a very deprived condition. Their parents were under tremendous pressure on how to cope up with the online classes which were happening in other areas. Has this budget taken note of this digital divide? These poor students are deprived of devices like smartphones, tabs, etc. that was required to be a part of this budget.